Welcome to Your Future, Your Way, where we explore the many ways to reach your academic and professional goals. Whether you're a recent grad, career starter, considering career advancement, or even changing careers, this podcast is for you. You'll hear from current UW-Madison students and alumni who took the leap into graduate level coursework, as well as faculty and staff who support students on their academic journey. There is no right way to do higher education. This is your future, your way. My name is Ian Muhlenhaus, and I'm the Director of Program Development in the Division of Continuing Studies at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I help design and build market-based programs to help students pursue their dream careers.
And I'm Alyssa Olick, Director of Professional Degrees and Certificates. I oversee the project management team that works with new program implementation. We are excited to share information, resources, and most importantly, stories from current and former students.
In today's episode, we explore how people find the right fit when considering a graduate degree, capstone certificate, or other educational program. Finding the right fit is unique to each student based on their interests, experiences, career goals, and more. Whether you are coming from an undergraduate program, you have been working for years, or you are somewhere in between, it's imperative to weigh your options and identify programs that meet your needs.
There are many criteria to consider when looking at graduate level programs. First, identify your career goals and the fields you are interested in. Knowing these helps narrow down the area of study that will give you the skills you need to meet your goals. Next, consider the type of program that meets your needs. Do you want a master's or doctoral degree, or will a certificate or professional development program provide you with the skills you are looking for? Also, consider whether you can travel to campus for in-person coursework, or if you prefer more flexibility with a hybrid or online program. Additionally, consider whether you can attend courses during traditional 9 to 5 hours, or you want to look into evening or weekend options. In addition, think about how quickly you want to finish your program. Some students prefer an accelerated or full-time pace, whereas others prefer a part-time option to balance school, professional, and personal commitments. There are many other things to contemplate when finding the right fit, such as career outcomes, financing, research opportunities, and more. Let's hear from real students who navigated these questions recently and discover how they found programs that fit their needs.
Our first guest is Shruti, who lives in Chicago and is getting her Master of Science in Pharmaceutical Sciences, Applied Drug Development, a 30-credit program that provides advanced training. The hybrid program includes a mix of online and in-person courses and offers full and part-time options. Let's hear why Shruti chose to pursue a master's degree and how she navigated whether to quit her job and go to school full-time or continue working while going to school part-time.
So my name is Shruti Prasad. I am in the Applied Drug Development program, which gives you a master's in pharmaceutical science. I was just looking for a master's degree in the pharmacy area. And before considering graduate school, I was working, I guess I'm still working, at Pfizer in the Chicago area. I work as a formulation and process development scientist. And the site that I work at focuses on sterile injectables. In order to grow, there's some kind of information that I was missing. Chemical engineering kind of was one aspect, but then I needed that like pharmaceutical expertise that, I probably could have gotten had I have continued working or, in through work experience, but it probably would have taken like years of experience. Like it really is dependent on what kind of projects you have exposure to, what kind of boss you have. So what I was looking for is kind of like, how do I get this information as soon as I can or as fast as I can? And it seemed like graduate school was the most concentrated way to get it. It breaks it down into like a year or 2-year program, and you get all of this information all at once in probably the most organized way it could be. So in searching for grad school, I kind of just Googled like, what are the top schools for pharmacy? What are the top schools for pharmaceutical science? What are the top schools for pharmacology? And to be honest, I had to kind of understand what was the difference between all of those. Like pharmacy is one thing, pharmaceutical science, pharmacology, clinical pharmacology. and kind of did some research into that. What am I trying to get out of it? One of the, I think, most attractive points of Wisconsin was um, basically the advice I had gotten when I was, deciding to enroll was um, it was pretty open ended of how you want to complete the degree was kind of up to you. Um, here's the way it was laid out to me was um, there's 30 credits to be completed and an internship component, and you could complete it in a year, do your internship and be done. You could take 2 years, you could take 3 years. And there was nothing that if you didn't take one class, then you couldn't take the following class in the spring, and then you're kind of like waiting a year. So that's really nice, is that the sequences don't, you can start in the fall, you can start in the spring, um, and there's a lot of flexibility with that. And that was, that information I had up front. Basically, it came down that I was deciding between two programs. It was like Wisconsin was one, and the other one was like a full-time master's program that had like a research component. And I think the deciding factor happened to be like the pandemic. One program, it was a master's program in pharmaceutical science. It would have been a 2-year full-time program with a research component. Wisconsin just said that it was hybrid, and all it gave was, here's your credits you have to complete, and you can do it in whatever time you need to take. If it's a year, 2 years, 3 years, however long it needs to take, you just have this many credits to complete. And so what it really came down to was that Wisconsin confidently could say that we are going virtual in the fall, and we would love to see you continue working and have you as a student, versus the other program was, yeah, you'll have to quit, but we're not sure if we're going to reopen, so you might have to be virtual in the fall, but you'd have to sit in our dorm and be virtual. So at the time it was kind of a risky move for quitting your job in the middle of a global pandemic. So I really appreciated the confidence that Wisconsin gave, and they gave me these assurances, as soon as they could, versus I think the other program kind of dragged their feet. There was, and to be honest, like in the world, there was a ton of insecurity at the time. So it's nothing to fault them on. It was just, I had several things that I needed. My lease was running out. I needed to know if I needed to re-sign my lease. I needed to know if I had to stay in the Chicago area. I would have to put a notice at work. Like I basically like needed a decision sooner rather than later. And Wisconsin was able to give me that.
As I mentioned before, there are a handful of things to think about when picking a program. Shruti had to decide if she continued to work while going to school, or if she should quit working and move for an in-person program. We are glad to hear that Shruti found a program that fit her needs at UW-Madison. She plans to graduate in the spring. Way to go, Shruti. Next, we'll hear from Landon, who was featured in our last episode. He is completing a master's in educational psychology, learning analytics. He describes how the program fit his desire for professional growth while living internationally.
I'm a high school teacher. I live abroad, and so I am working full time during my regular teaching hours in Warsaw, Poland, where I live, because I work at an international university prep level school. So I've been in and around education essentially my entire career. So my goals are to stay in education, just at a higher level than being a classroom teacher. I started looking for opportunities again to build my resume with maybe some various hard skills, and I knew I had this interest in like applying kind of data science to education and finding programs that existed for that, and a lot are PhD focused. And as much as that interests me, I I don't think I'm there. I don't think it's really what I want to do from a research perspective. So it's just doing basically my own homework and seeing what articles were published and everything. And so I had considered doing smaller like certificate programs just to boost my resume a little bit and see if I could gain some other hard skills that might lead me to a particular path. I just felt like I needed a higher degree. And eventually I came across the program that I'm in now, which is the Masters of Learning Analytics. Is actually a field I had kind of researched on my own over the years, thinking that I have this math teaching background and I always have loved working with numbers and have thought about how numbers can be used to benefit the education landscape. Um, so then coming to UW-Madison, it's actually been very helpful in that this program is online. I really couldn't do it another way. And so that helped, I think, make my decision easier on whether or not to do a program at all at this point in my life and in my career. Given my current living situation, I would not be able to do an in-person program, nor would I want to, I think, like in another country right now. So this has been uh, stars aligned for me with with ending up in another country and also being able to do a second master's for me that I feel would really be worthwhile when it's all said and done. And I'm able to complete this program because it's built for working adults. So one, that was key for me, that I didn't have to fully commit all of my time to the program. And two, it's designed asynchronously. So there are specific deadlines, but I can work on assignments, in between deadlines, however it best fits my schedule. So I've been really lucky and very happy with what the learning analytics program looks like right now, given that it is the online nature and works to support working adults.
Thanks, Landon. We are excited to hear where you end up next after finishing your degree. We'll introduce another student after this short break.
This episode of Your Future, Your Way comes from UW-Madison Professional Programs, offering more than 80 graduate-level programs, including online, evening, and weekend options for working adults. For more details, visit us at go.wisc.edu/pro.
Deciding to go back to school mid-career can be challenging, especially when considering a career change. Jackie from the part-time Master of Social Work program pivoted from a career in fitness to social work by following her passion in child welfare. She explains how she found her fit in the part-time program, which is hybrid with in-person courses every other Saturday.
My name is Jackie Kaminsky, and I am in the Masters of Social Work program, and I chose the program as a change in career later in my life, direction change. So my path to UW's program, social work program, is a little bit different than some. I had worked 15 years in exercise. Well, my undergraduate degree is exercise science from Concordia in Mequon, Wisconsin. And I did that field for 15 years. I worked as a personal trainer. I had my own business. I worked in physical therapy clinics as a physical therapy assistant. And then I had my son, and my husband got a job change, and we moved to Georgia. And while I was in Georgia, we were attending a church that really changed my life as far as like where I wanted to go with my life. I was still working in fitness in some capacity there, but the pastor one day said, I want you guys to think about what breaks your heart. And then after that, he just said, think about that and then decide what you're going to do about that. And so while we were living in Georgia, I started looking into, so the answer to that question was child abuse and neglect. And so I started looking into ways that I could maybe move into that in a volunteer capacity or something. And I started training at the time to be a CASA, a court-appointed special advocate. And then we moved back to Milwaukee. And so I was like in the midst of that and came back to Milwaukee, and everybody in Milwaukee in my life thought I'd go back into fitness, start my personal training business, go back to the physical therapy office running store I was at. And I found I was very unhappy. And I was reading a book at the time called The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown. And it's a guide to wholehearted living. And there were just quotes out of the book that just kept like pulling on my heart. And I told my husband, like, I think I want to change direction of my career. I wanted to go back and get my master's. I couldn't stop thinking about it. When I think about what it looks like for me looking for the right program and finding the right fit for me when I was seeking out my master's in social work, I needed it to be, number one, that it would work for my family, that we could make this change and make this leap, and that nothing, while it was going to be difficult, that it wasn't going to hurt the balance of the way things were currently. So I wanted to be done in 2 years. I applied to full-time. I wanted to get on with a career. And when my acceptance letter came back, it said, unfortunately, we don't have any more positions open or filling openings for full-time students, but we do have this part-time program, and if you'd be interested, that we'd love you to have you in that. And the more I researched it and learned about it, I was like, this is exactly where I should be. This is what it's made for, parents and people who need that flexibility. And both my husband and I realized that was the best decision for our family. At the time, this was pre-COVID, and he traveled about 75 to 85% of the time. And we, didn't have any family around at the time. And my mom was sick. And so it was like, yes, this is what we should do part-time. And now looking back, I can't speak highly enough about this program and about what it allows people to do. This was the absolute perfect program for me and my family. It fit like all the boxes. It checked off all the boxes. I can still be in my son's school during the week. We can still have family time. While 4 years seemed like a lifetime, we've all said in the family, it went by so fast. And this was, when I look at everything I've gotten from this, it's exactly what I needed.
Jackie plans to work as a case manager at a county agency after graduating this spring. Thanks for sharing your story, Jackie. As you can tell from Shruti, Landon, and Jackie's interviews, each person's fit is unique to their goals and lifestyle. What works for one person might not work for someone else. That is why it is important to do your research, consider your options, and take the leap into a graduate-level program that fits your needs.
Thanks for joining us today to hear from students who found the right fit at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. We hope you can join us next time to hear from a colleague of ours, Jesus, who is pursuing a Master's of Science in Special Education. We'll hear how the pandemic and his drive for social justice influenced his decision to go back to school. Learn how to shape your future your way.